All right, welcome back, Pivotal Discourse faithful. I am sitting down with Erin Azar, Mrs. Space Cadet herself. How are you, Erin?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I was just mentioning how cool this looks with all the buttons and cords and lighting. I don't do anything this official. I'm just there in my little booth with my laptop and microphone.
Well, this is all just for show.
Well, it's impressive.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Just to set the scene for the audience.
So, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Erin Azar. I live in Pennsylvania. I'm a mom of 3 little wild kids. And I started running a couple years ago after having my 3rd baby. I was feeling just, like that whole postpartum phase that a lot of women go through. You're just like overly tired. You're stressed out. You have a new baby. You have these other kids to take care of. And I felt like, I never liked running, but I felt so desperate, like to just feel a little better. I'm like, I'm going to give this a go because I don't really know what else to do here. My sneakers had holes on them. Like I had the video on YouTube showing, like I put my finger through the holes in the sides of the sneakers.
Oh, geez.
But I was like, I don't have time to go get shoes, and I don't even know what kind of shoes to get.
Sure.
But yeah, I ran a mile, and I felt just like a little better, and I decided I'm going to run a mile a day for 30 days and see what happens. I filmed it for some reason, and luckily I did, because when I put it on TikTok, I'm like, I might find a couple like mom friends that are also trying to run and we could be pals. But it went viral, and here I am today still making that content, but now getting to work with brands and do fun podcasts and things like that. So
now, how quickly did you, for lack of a better word, blow up? I mean, like, did you just kind of post the first video and it was a slow start, or did it go viral immediately?
I think, honestly, so I was posting them to YouTube for a little bit. But then when I decided to keep going, like, hey, I'm going to really stick to this running thing, that's when I put one of the first running videos on TikTok. And then I remember sitting in the living room, I checked the notifications, and it kept saying, like, even though I liked all the comments and replied, it kept saying at the bottom 99 plus. And I'm like, I think there's, it's glitching or something, because I just went through these. And then I realized it was getting like 10,000 views a minute.
Oh,
and I'm
my
like,
gosh.
Whoa, what's going on here?
10,000 views a minute?
Right. Apparently that's what happens. That's a thing.
Oh, my gosh. That's incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty instant. So I didn't understand what was going to happen there. And, with TikTok at the time, I thought just like a lot of kids dancing and things like that. So I'm like, I'm about to get a lot of hate from like 10-year-old boys. And it was the opposite, though. Like, people were just like, why don't more people show running like this? And I always feel bad that I have a hard time running. And that's when I realized, like, wow, I'm onto something here. There's a huge gap in what's posted on social media about running and what's beneficial for people to actually see.
Sure.
You know?
So before the kids, obviously you had mentioned you don't like running. I'm the same way. I do it because I hate it, which I don't know if that even makes sense.
It does,
but just to kind of challenge myself, but I absolutely despise running, except for race day. Race day is actually kind of fun.
Yes.
Other than that, not so much fun. But,
right.
So before the kids, were you a runner?
No, the gym class mile kind of, I feel like scarred me.
Yeah.
So I tried, like in my 20s I tried to run, but it just never lasted long, because I would always get shin splints, or I felt like I had to be, at least like a 10-minute mile to be considered running.
Right.
And the stuff that I would see on social media at the time, I'm someone that if I'm trying something, I need to watch someone else also be trying something to see how they're dealing with it. So when you go and search for beginner runner, and you're seeing everyone run 7-minute miles.
Yeah, these like jacked people that are just like, oh yeah, it's super easy. And you're like, okay.
They're wearing the short shorts that if I wore them, they would ride up my crotch, and it would not be a good look. So that's what I was seeing. And I'm like, I would give up every time. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Right.
So what about this made it stick? Do you think like the filming really helped? Because I got to tell you, I've always wanted to do what you have done, because I think it's hilarious of how much I hate to run.
Right.
So I actually ran the Via Marathon a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I was doing it for St. Luke's, and I was like, you know what? I'll document the journey. And honestly, so I've done 2 marathons in my life. I've done New York, which we will talk about because I'm excited to talk to you about that.
Yes.
But then the following year I did Via, and when I recorded myself, even though I don't find myself very interesting, I found that just the distraction of talking to the camera helped me get through the race a lot faster. Not technically time-wise, but in my mind,
in your mind,
faster.
Yeah, it didn't seem as long.
So do you think that's what's going on here, and that's what's kind of helping you stick?
Yeah, I think that's a huge part. For me, I need that distraction along the route. So I'll film like the guinea hens, or I'll name certain cows that I see every time. Like Nancy is one of them, and she has these really beautiful eyelashes. So I make sure I showcase Nancy on some runs. I have the tree tunnel. I have a cheer squad that's basically just 3 trees in a row together.
The cheer squad
along
totally.
my route. Yeah. So I
Do
think
they talk to you?
Well, it depends how many miles I've run.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
sometimes we get there.
Okay.
But yeah, in all seriousness, I do think that has a large part of it, because I have incentive to film it and come up with these funny scenarios in my head. And then also what keeps me going is the community. So like in my comment section, for example, I'll go through and be reading them, and before I even can reply to comments, there's people saying, I ran my first mile because of you. But there's all these replies like, good job, or I did my first one today. Awesome. I mean, I'm in tears half the time when I'm in my comment section. Like, it's so powerful. So on days where I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like going out for this run, or it's raining, or I just don't feel like it, I'll just read comments and like see other people hyping each other up. I'm like, this is why we're doing this. Like, there's something more to running than just the physical benefits of it. I mean, it's obviously really healthy for you and everything, but for me, it's really the mental health and just like the community and knowing that we're all lifting each other up. It's so motivating, even on like the worst days.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've kind of like started this whole like community.
Yeah, Team Struggle Run. Anyone's welcome.
How many followers do you have currently?
That's a good question. I don't have my phone on me. I would say probably like 750,000 on TikTok and maybe like 85,000 on Instagram.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's incredible to me too. I have no clue. Well, every time something does really well, like a certain video, I'm like, what was it about that one? Like, you know what I mean? I did an interpretive dance at the end to show, like, that's what I've been doing lately. I'll sum up my run in the form of interpretive dance. I'm like, was it the dance?
I think it's the outfits. I like that you do on your, today's running outfit of the day. I love that.
High fashion right here.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And it's all about fashion. Like when
Agreed.
I run the races, I try to make myself look as dumb as possible because that just helps me go. So.
You got to entertain yourself.
Yes.
Stop taking everything so seriously.
One of the coolest things I found when I was, kind of going through your channel was I watched day 1 where you started your 30-day challenge versus a year from that point, and just the mentality shift that you had. So like the beginning, like the first day, you were just straight miserable. You're
right.
like, I'm doing this because I just got to get motivated, and you were not a happy camper that day.
Right.
By day 365, you could just see it. You almost had a glow about you. You were into it, and you had all these like beautiful words of encouragement for people. Like it was pretty amazing to see that shift. Do you feel like that's continuing as you go? Yeah,
I hate watching videos on myself, and I hate listening to my voice. So
nobody likes that.
Right. So it is hard for me, but when I am kind of feeling like, am I making progress, or like, am I a different person than before, I will watch that first video. And as much of it as it pains me to do that, I do see a huge difference in myself. So now we're like 2 years later, and I'm way more confident. I would tell myself that I didn't care what people thought when I started. But I think I did. Honestly, like who doesn't, I guess.
I was going to say, it's hard not to.
Right.
Like, and sometimes people are just mean. Like, they're just sitting on their couch. They know nothing about you, and they'll just hammer you with a zinger, and you're just like, I'm going to say that doesn't bother me, but it does.
But it does. But I think I'm in this place now where I think the less I care, the better I do, and the better I perform, the more video ideas I have, and the more fun I have. So I feel like that is still progressing, which is really fun.
So talk to me a little bit about the first marathon. Now, did COVID kind of get in the way of that, or what?
Oh, yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah, that's an understatement, but yes, it did. So when I first started, it was right before COVID.
Okay.
And I had signed up for the Philadelphia Marathon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I felt like it was close enough to home, and I was familiar with it. It looked really fun. Obviously.
That's not the Rocky Run, right? That's completely different?
This is the Philadelphia Marathon, which is in November.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would like to do the other runs, like the Broad Street, and everything just looks so fun.
I've had a friend of mine runs the Broad Street, I think, almost every year, and she loves it. So, I would, based off of her experience, I would recommend it.
Yeah, I do want to do that. And so obviously that marathon got canceled because of COVID. Everything did. And runners, there were I feel like two camps at that time. It was, okay, well, my race was canceled, so I'm going to stop running for now, because they didn't have that, extrinsic motivation, something to that one date to work toward. And there were others that were like, I need this for my sanity. So they just kept running, but they just weren't excited about it. Like, they didn't have an end goal, so to speak. But for me, I'm like, okay, well, the Philadelphia Marathon, I think it was like November 7th was the date. So I thought, I'm going to run 26.2 miles on November 7th. And I had an idea on one of my runs. I thought, you know what? I could set up a charity and at least do this virtually and raise money.
Okay.
So we were able to raise, I think, like $18,000 for Mary's Shelter in Reading.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like the first taste to me of like what good I could do, using that platform.
$18,000, and you were the only one running?
Yeah. Well, luckily my coach came with me, and my husband suffered through it with me.
Oh, that's way cool.
Yeah. It was.
Wait, he ran the whole thing too?
Yes.
Wow. Is he a runner?
As much of one as I am. Yeah.
Oh, that's love right there.
Although I really get angry at him because it's a little more effortless for him.
Okay.
So like anything up to, I'd say 15 miles, he can just easily do, which for me is really difficult. Yeah. And
still?
Yeah, I would say. I wouldn't run like a, gazelle for 15 miles.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And I really have to prepare myself, and I feel like he could do it without hydration and fuel.
Oh,
like,
God, that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, and I need like constant electrolytes. I have to time my fueling and everything.
Oh, that does not help for sure.
Right.
Oh.
So everyone's like, oh, do you run with your husband? I'm like, if I have to, yeah, I do sometimes.
Right.
It's better for us to talk about our runs separately.
That's probably best for the marriage itself.
I think so.
Yeah.
So we did do that together, and it was amazing to raise that money, and it was just such a high, I felt like, when I finished it, even though everything hurt and I was dying. But after that, I didn't realize that post-race blues was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody warned me of that.
Nah, I didn't get that either.
And I'm somebody that even coming back from a vacation, I will get depressed.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so that post-race blues hit me hard, and I didn't know what it was. So to heal that, naturally, I signed up for another marathon.
Okay.
Because that's, I guess, what you do.
So before I think it's just called an illness, and the runner's illness. But
it is.
So before we get into the next marathon, so you set up your own marathon. Mm-hmm. How did you plot your course? Like, did you just kind of pick 26 miles from your house, or did you kind of put some thought into it?
Yeah, well, luckily my coach, I'm going to give a shout out to Coach Alicia at What Runs You. But
Shout out, Coach.
Shout out, Coach Alicia. She lives in this area where they have some trails, and I'm not talking like mountainous trails. That would not be good.
No.
But it kind of like rails to trails type things.
Okay.
So we ran a bunch of miles on those. We did run some on the road, mainly just like crossing over to other trails. And so since we did that, we were able to like stash the, Gatorades and fuel in the woods and trash bags.
Oh,
so
lovely.
Very nice aesthetic
Yeah,
going
totally.
on there. So that worked out, and luckily she could plan that route because I was clueless. I'm like, yeah, I could run 26.2 around my house. She's like, you have cars, there's going to be 3 of us. Where are you going to put your fuel and your hydration? I'm like, oh yeah, you do it.
And you don't want to be carrying that the whole time.
Right.
You could take like the little gel packs and like a little fanny pack, but you're not carrying your Gatorade with you.
Right. And there's no one handing it to you.
Right.
So, yeah.
I always like those people that come like ripping through the table, and I feel bad for like the volunteer that's just like here, and they're like,
yeah,
and it just goes all over. I'm like, come on, dude, you could slow down for 2 seconds and make up that time.
You'll be all right if you just slow it down a little bit, grab it, and then you can take off.
Yeah, these are volunteers.
I know that their hands like practically get taken off.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Or like the people that just like take the drink and like chuck it down on the ground. I'm like, come on. There's a trash can right there.
There's lines of trash cans.
Yeah. It drives me crazy. But again, I'm not that serious of a runner. So
yeah, I guess who are we to say?
Yeah. But all right. Anyway, so you ran between rail trails and roads, and was it close to the house, or did you have to like kind of travel?
We walked maybe like half a mile from her house, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how did you feel? So
I felt wrecked. I felt like I got hit by a bus and a tractor trailer, and then like maybe a small car afterward.
I was going to say, you're not getting the race day motivation of like, come on, let's go, or bells ringing. None of that stuff. You're just straight up doing the 26 miles.
And what was really hard was, I think at that time, COVID was so bad that we felt too nervous to even have friends and family like along the route.
Oh, gosh.
Because I felt like I would feel responsible if somebody got sick by going to it.
Sure.
So we didn't even have that. And we were like, there were like no signs.
Oh.
There was no, like finish line greeting or anything. It was just really, okay, the watch hit 26.2 and I could stop running. It was really happy and really sad.
It blows my mind that you still run to this day. Like I would have just been like, well, that was fun.
Oh, that's over. Close that chapter of my life.
Notch it off. I'm good.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So we go from this hard-nosed 26.2 miles to what's our next one?
Well, the next one, I thought, if I did the New Jersey Marathon, since it's not huge, that I was convinced that it wouldn't be canceled. That was my whole thing. And the director of the New Jersey Marathon, she actually helped me in setting up my virtual one and having the fundraiser and everything. So I thought, that would be a great next step to run their race. And as the race approached, of course, that ended up getting canceled.
No.
Yeah. I think maybe I was naive in thinking like, since it's smaller that it won't be canceled, but I actually think that they had more pressure on them because of COVID.
Right.
Yeah, so they couldn't really get away with it, and
oh my gosh,
that was a major blow to my
2
happiness.
marathons canceled. Did you please tell me you didn't run another one like solo?
I did not. I refused.
Yeah.
I drew the line there.
Thank you.
I really did. I drew the line, and I thought, I'm going to feel sorry for myself for like a couple days, and then I'm going to shift and just really train for next year.
Okay.
So like go down in miles and get over it, and then I'll pick the miles back up for a marathon next year.
Okay.
But shortly after, I had one of my sponsors, for Shox headphones. She reached out and she was like, "Hey, why don't you run a marathon with me?" And I'm like, "It's too last minute, no." And she said, "What if it's for Team Fox to raise money for Parkinson's research?" I was like, "What's the date?" Yeah, because my dad has Parkinson's. So I was like, you know how like when you get that little feeling, you're like, "Ooh, is this meant to be?"
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Is it?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Is
Serendipitous.
it?
Yeah.
Yes. So I thought, I think there's something here. And she's like, oh, by the way, it's the New York City Marathon. I'm like, are you kidding?
Oh, I just got chills.
I know. So, but, I quickly look up the date, New York City Marathon. I'm like, that is 3 weeks less of training than I was anticipating.
Yeah, but you ran a marathon by yourself for crying out loud.
Right. That's what everyone kept saying. They're like, the crowds are going to get you through and you're going to be fine. I'm like, okay, we'll see about that.
Okay.
But at that point, it was more about raising the money for Parkinson's. And I'm like, if I have to walk, a little bit, get over your ego, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But that was such a good decision.
Oh, that's so awesome. So talk to me about, so how many weeks did you have to train for that once we had this serendipitous thing?
Yeah, it was about 4 weeks away.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
How many miles a day were you averaging at that point?
Well, at that point, I had just run an 18-mile race on Long Beach Island in New Jersey.
Easy day for you at that point. That's all mental at that point.
Yeah, that was horrible, though, that race. Just headwinds, really strong, and pouring rain. And the pitch of the road for the entire way was just angled because of the storm drainage.
Do you like punishment?
That I did not.
Okay,
No, I like a teeny bit. I heard actually this research about if you start your day with a little pain, like some kind of exercise, then the dopamine, your body has to reach homeostasis, so the dopamine will naturally increase to get you back to level, so you can enjoy that dopamine release throughout the day.
That's interesting.
So I like a little bit.
Or maybe that's just something that people go through pain, tell themselves to get through the day.
But that could be as like that as well, yeah.
All right, sorry, we're digressing here. So you were about 18 miles at that point.
Yes.
And you had 4 weeks, and you were just like, all right, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the race.
So the race was amazing. I feel like, so when we talked about that video blowing up, I was at maybe 100,000 followers at that point early on. Okay. And it just kept increasing throughout those 2 years to where when I got to New York, that was the first big thing that I got to do in person, like see people face to face, run a race in person, meet people that recognized me on the street.
Oh, that was
cool. Happening. I'm like, whoa, how is this world so small that you watch my videos,
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and of course there's a concentrated amount of runners in New York City at that time, so I think there's a better chance
what
of
someone... What is it, like 50,000?
Right,
no big
biggie.
Deal. Yeah,
and
but people are picking you out, so.
Right. So I was not anticipating that many people along the course to have like Mrs. Space Cadet signs. Someone even, shout out to this person, they set up a makeshift hydration station for me.
Get out.
Yeah.
Please tell me you saw it.
I did.
Okay, good.
Oh my gosh.
Because that would be awful if they went through all that and then you were just like, boom. They're just like, well, that was fun.
Well, I never go boom.
Well, okay.
Yeah, let's be clear about that.
Then you and I can run together.
Right, exactly. But I definitely saw it, and of course I stopped. I was taking selfies, with her, and
totally.
She had little orange slices. Like, it was the cutest thing ever.
I mean, awesome.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. But yeah, so much support along the course. Someone somehow got in the middle of where the runners were going, like on this median, and she was there with her dog, and she screamed. And scared her dog, and I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And she's like, I love you. Oh. I'll never forget. Her name was Stephanie. That was like, and I started bawling my eyes out, and she's crying. Anyway, so I added like 30 minutes to my finishing time just being with people, but I don't regret it at all.
You don't run New York for time, that's for sure. There's too many people.
You run it for a party.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I drank a beer during my race.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We are pals.
Not. Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it because I thought it was cool, and like there was these guys and they had all these beers, like, oh, go ahead. I was like, yeah, and I chug it back. Everybody's like, yeah, and like 2 minutes later, I was like, oh, I seriously regret this decision. I do not want to throw up in New York.
Do you remember like what mile that was?
Oh, it was somewhere in Brooklyn, I believe.
Oh, so you still had a long time.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not the smartest.
Right. Didn't think that one through.
No. But I mean, I still don't regret it. I mean, just the cheer of the guys, and they were all excited and high-fiving and all that stuff.
That's worth it.
Yeah, not fun. While we're talking about marathon running, I do need to give a quick shout out to my aunt, Karen Wadman, who is like my running mentor. Last time when we were talking about running, we had Dr. Claros on the show, and he just actually completed the Boston Marathon. He ran from the first time ever running. He had never run more than a mile. He trained for 14 weeks and ran the Boston Marathon.
Oh, my goodness.
Savage.
Wow.
But my aunt got upset because I had mentioned New York City and we talked about all this stuff and I didn't give her a big enough shout out. So this is as big a props as I can possibly give.
Aunt Karen.
So anyway, shout out completed. Aunt Karen.
Love you, Aunt Karen.
Yes. So back to New York. So you saw all these people that's so cool. So like, because you kind of started your channel through the pandemic, you never really got a chance to interact with these people. That must have been amazing.
Because before that, they were just, screen names or whatever you call that on, in the comment section. Like, so. Did
they introduce themselves as their screen name? Because that would be kind of weird too.
I don't think so. I think it was a lot of just screaming and crying on both parts.
Just tons of emotion.
Yes, lots of emotion. And I think, that was the first time for a lot of those people too that they were seeing people again in person.
Right.
So it was really exciting. I was not expecting any of it. I thought it was maybe like my few friends that were along the course is who would see me and say something. But,
which is hard to find them.
Oh my gosh,
like in it's a sea of people. And I'm getting like texts from like my mom and she's like, we're at such and such. I'm like, I don't even know where I am right now. So I'm just like constantly like trying to look around. I'm like half dead. And luckily I found everybody that I was supposed to find.
Oh, that's impressive.
But I don't know. It was fun. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. So I remember early on, my husband, like we were talking about, whoa, how do I have 100,000 followers or something? And he's like, can you even, we couldn't even fit 100 people in this house. So we were trying to visualize it.
That's mind blowing. And now you have what, 700,000?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it really is mind boggling, but it does show like the validity of what I always like. I joke about Team Struggle Run.
Sure.
But I've kind of been talking out of my butt for a while. Like, even if you're a professional, like they have, they struggle too. But I was legit validated at the Boston Marathon. I saw Kira D'Amato, who's the American record holder for marathons, and she ran the 5K. And I saw her come out and I was like, Kira. And I was, of course, filming for TikTok because that's what I do. And she pointed at me and she's like, I'm obsessed with you. And I'm like, what? Wait, no, I'm obsessed with you. Like, what are you? I think we're in a simulation. Here? I was a little glitchy there. And she's like, I'm coming around to talk to you. And so she did. She came around the fence and she's like, everything that you say on your runs and how you talk about, like, she's like, I know you're being funny, but I have those same thoughts on my runs and we all do. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
See, it's a universal thing.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It really, you have to absorb that for a minute because it's surprising.
You are huge in the running community.
I think that was the first time that I'm like, I think I am doing a good thing here.
So talk to me, I mean, famous people aside in the running world, talk to me about the average Joe. What are they getting out of your misery, if you will?
Yeah, I think it's really just showing other people that they don't need to take things so seriously. Like, there's a certain type of person that they'll say, I want to start running, and in order for them to stick with it, they do have to take it seriously. They do need to see that progress of like getting faster and things like that. But I feel like a lot more people that if they start running, they need to know I can just have fun here.
Right.
And this is making my brain feel good.
Right.
And this is good for my heart, And I think just putting that touch of humor to it makes it very watchable.
Yeah.
Because I'm not being like, go you can do it. It's just like, hey, I had my shorts right up my crotch on my run today too, and look at her. She's, she's showing it on camera.
And she showed up the next day.
Yeah, and I think I always say if you consistently show up for yourself, you'll be amazed at what happens. So I never thought starting, on day one that I'd be here, but I just trusted the process and didn't think that I'd be, doing things like this,
right.
But I knew that I would still be running and I would be healthy. And I just kept trusting that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how far you've come, like starting from just trying to make yourself feel better to now having a community of over 700,000 followers. Obviously, what you're doing is working and people are into it. That's got to make you feel pretty good.
It feels really good. And in fact, I just spoke in New York City at a Team Fox event because I guess I just glossed over the fact that for the New York City Marathon, we raised $79,000 for Parkinson's research.
That's a big gloss. Let's talk about that a little bit more. $79,000?
Yeah. So you know so when you sign up for a charity team, I think you have to raise it. Every race is different, but say it's like $2,500 or something.
Yeah, I did. I ran for team kids. Oh my God, I'm horrible at this. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I think it was like 3,000 to run because I knew I couldn't qualify.
Yes.
And I didn't want to wait for the lottery, so I was just like, well, I'll find a charity. And I was just like, oof, geez, $3,000. It's
a big number.
But now I'm not going to complain. $79,000.
Yeah, and I was worried about hitting the original number that you had to meet.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I only have a few weeks. Like, I better announce this and see if like people can pitch in. And I was donating money and then in 24 hours, I, checked. I'm like, oh, I wonder if we got someone to donate. It was $20,000.
In 24 hours?
Yes.
Wow.
Right. So I obviously go right to the comment section. Like, what's going on here that this video did so well? Usually if you promote something, even a charity, it doesn't, do that well.
Yeah.
But the whole comment section was, my dad has Parkinson's, or I have Parkinson's. I got diagnosed at 38, or my mom just passed. And I was like, obviously in tears, but it was like a huge realization that so many people are affected by it. But I think that was like people's call to action. Like, hey, this is something I can directly do. And they're already watching my videos. They're going to see me run the race. But I had no clue that it would be like that.
Man, this is like life-changing stuff.
Right.
All because one day you woke up and was like, you know what? Not really feeling myself. I got to do something about this.
Right.
That's
and
incredible.
That led to my dad being on the Today Show with me the day after the New York City Marathon. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was wild. And
I mean, I'm sure it wasn't as grandiose as what we have here.
This setup puts the Today Show to shame. I mean, Hoda,
there you
if
go,
you're watching.
Guys. Shout out.
But so the day, obviously you have to wake up really early for that. We had to wake up at like 4 a.m. because apparently you need like makeup.
And this was the day after the race?
Yes.
Please tell me you just stayed in the city.
I did.
Okay, good.
Oh, I couldn't.
Yeah. You don't want to get in the car.
No.
Even though it's only an hour and a half, that's a long hour and a half.
That's a long hour and a half, and imagine traffic.
Ugh.
Yeah. So we did stay over. And I felt very fancy, like they sent a car and everything just to go a couple blocks.
Total. Well,
yeah.
But it was the day after the race, so
right. I think I needed that.
Yeah.
They were saying, "Oh, your dad might need." I'm like, "Well, I probably need the car more than him."
My dad's helping me.
Yeah. He's helping me shuffle in there. So, but my dad was like all snazzy and his tweed suit and
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm there in my Team Struggle Run hoodie. I think I even wore Crocs with socks. Who let me out of the hotel room? Like no one told me, hey, you might want to put sneakers on.
No, that's you. Like
right,
that's your brand.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it would look odd if you were all done up and what have you.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Good
but
for
next
you.
to my dad, I looked a little frumpy. But hey, it's
we do
all
that.
good.
We do that for our parents, though,
right?
Yeah. Good on you.
Sacrifice.
Look at you, just helping everybody.
I know, right?
So good.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting being this good.
It is. It is. I mean, I'm getting tired just sitting across from you. Like, what am I doing with my life? No, continue. So, Today Show.
Yeah, Today Show, and I didn't think anyone knew my story or anything. I figured, they just briefed whoever was going to interview me. But I walked in there, and we're sitting in the green room, and Al Roker just casually walks in and says, "Hi, good morning," grabs, a drink, and I'm just like holding onto my chair, like, should I ask him for a selfie? What should I do? Oh my God, it's Al Roker, like, big fan.
Please tell me you got the selfie.
I got the selfie.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah, I didn't look that great, but I was more focused on getting him in the frame.
Mm-hmm.
But when I actually went out to the set, I had to do like a teaser. I never did one of those before. That was really awkward. But everyone on set said congratulations, and they clapped for me, and I was like,
that's so cool.
they are nicer than they seem on TV.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They're really nice people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, most of them are. They're just behind the scenes
so.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a note, behind the scenes people. Be nice.
Be nice.
No, that's cool. So you've done the Today Show. Any other cool media spots that you've done? Besides Pivotal Discourse.
Well, this is number one in my book,
Thank
but of course.
Totally.
Ryan Seacrest.
Wow.
I mean,
the hardest working man in Hollywood today.
And let's see, what I was on the Today Show before that, but virtually.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like that was
totally.
different.
Yeah, that was old hat. Virtually Today Show.
People,
so boring.
People Magazine. But you know what set this whole thing off?
People Mag. Don't gloss over that one too. My
People Magazine.
Is it just boring now? Oh, just People Magazine.
That was a big one too.
I can't even get into Lehigh Valley Style. Nothing against Lehigh Valley Style.
Hey, I can't either.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Yeah. But the thing that set this whole thing off, like even the first Today Show, it was the New York Times wrote an article. And
about you?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's rough life.
So exhausting.
But
boring.
So Talia Minsberg, and I didn't even think to ask her, why are you doing this? I thought it was going to be like a little blurb, like, oh, in social media this week, and then like a little sentence. But it was an entire article in the sports section of the New York Times. And I ended up actually seeing her at the New York City Marathon, and the train, or the what's that boat called?
The ferry. Yeah.
So we were waiting for the ferry, and I saw Talia in there. She was also running.
Oh.
And so I got to ask her, why did you write
me?
that?
Yeah.
Like, why me? There's lots of runners. And she was saying that she saw me because her friends were constantly sending her my videos.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's how she started seeing my videos, is because her friends were sending them to her. Hence the New York Times article, and that kicked off that whole whirlwind of like the Today Show and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is pretty incredible. So you, at this point, you can pretty much write your own ticket. Do you have like other aspirations? Like, do you want to do Boston or any of the other big ones?
I would love to complete all the majors.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. However, I mean, I met somebody with Parkinson's that ran all 6 majors in 1 year.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's a lot of travel and a lot of preparation, but even just running 6 marathons in a year kind of blew my mind.
Ugh.
Yeah.
My knees are just screaming at me right now.
I know. They're like, don't do it.
Oh, 6 marathons in a year.
Yeah.
Plus Parkinson's.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
They can do some amazing things. Jimmy Choi, who he's also on TikTok. He's a 5-time American Ninja Warrior, and he has Parkinson's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he got diagnosed in his 30s.
So obviously Parkinson's is a big thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like your charity of choice for every race that you run now?
Yeah, I'm actually running Chicago for Team Fox again.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to let me know how that one is, because that's on my bucket list for sure.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'll come back on the podcast.
Yeah,
and we'll
please
chat
do.
about it.
Please do. I think she should just be a co-host from now on.
Can we? I would love this.
That would
This
be
is
awesome.
fun. I think it's. I can come to this cool setup every
Totally.
time.
I mean, the coolest setup.
Yes.
Way better than the Today Show.
There's plants. They have plants.
That's what does it. It's the plants.
I have a glass of water.
I believe they're real too, and
Well,
water.
That's even more impressive.
All right, so Chicago.
Yes.
Have you ever been to the city of Chicago?
No, but I'm very excited about the food. Special treatment that I got in Boston. I went to spectate the Boston Marathon this past weekend. Boston Foodies Instagram account took me out for a little food tour, and I said, I am all down as long as we can do only restaurants that it's acceptable to wear sweatpants in. And
I see.
It was great. I had great food, and I could wear my sweatpants.
I love your style.
Thanks.
You just roll with it. Crocs,
Yeah.
sweatpants, whatever.
Accept it or don't. That's your choice.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Have you always been like this?
Yeah, I was in corporate America for a while, and I really had to fight that.
That might be a little difficult.
Yeah, so I couldn't wear sweatpants.
Tracksuits.
Well, not even that.
Velour.
It was no,
No? Nothing.
they were not.
Not having it.
They did not think it was funny.
What if you put like a tie with the velour tracksuit?
Well, what I did is I just searched for dress pants that were like stretchy. So if you ate a little too much at lunch, they would expand with you. And you didn't feel uncomfortable all day.
You're a smart lady.
I know.
I will give you that. I like your style for sure. All right, so you're doing Chicago, and then do we have anything else planned after that?
Not real. Well, not yet. I mean, so that's in October. I think after that, when I hit the post-race blues, then I'll probably look into the next one to sign up for.
Okay.
But before that, I've actually been following some local running accounts, like that put on the races. I mean.
Oh.
So I already signed up for one in Emmaus. It's the Emmaus 5-miler in June.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I think I want to start doing more local races.
Hey, thanks for gracing us with your local stuff.
Oh, of course. Thank you, guys.
I'm just kidding. So, do you have any advice for, say, someone who's been following your channel and is starting to get motivated, hasn't quite taken that first step out the door?
Yeah, I would say don't get overwhelmed by, oh, what specific shoes do I need? Do I need a watch? Like what, and thinking you need to get all the perfect gear that everyone has. Like just go walk and kind of just do a slow jog and don't feel intimidated by it. There's a lot of people that are like, I don't want to run because I don't want people to see what I look like. And to that I say, those people probably don't even see you. Everyone is so in their own life and in their own mind that a runner goes by no matter what they look like. I don't even know if they notice anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, I think my tidbit of advice for that is I always tell people either run in the morning or run at night then if you're nervous about it. And then eventually, like you said, that stuff all goes away. No one cares.
Yeah, you just stop
No one's
caring.
looking at you.
Right.
They're not. You may think they are. They're not.
Yeah, and the other thing is if someone else might be having that same mindset and they see you out there, you could be inspiring someone and you don't even know it.
Oh, that's a good point.
So someone could be like, oh, I look kind of similar to that person and look how confident they look. They're just out there running. So I do think it actually can help other people as well. And the other big thing is don't compare yourself to anyone. I know a lot of people say that, but my mindset is don't even compare yourself to yourself, because you could have a really great run and the next time could be completely crappy. Don't hold on to that great run and expect that you're always going to have those or you're always going to be as good of a runner. You might have a few months where you can't get faster or you struggle a lot more. There's so many things like with our health and especially women's health every month, like you're up and down so much, which can affect it. So don't compare yourself to yourself either.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a really great piece of advice. I mean, I've heard the gear one, I would say, let's not go out there in like Converse All-Stars or something that you're going to like hurt yourself immediately.
Right.
But I agree with you. You don't need like the high-end tech stuff, at least right away.
Yeah.
Maybe once you get into it, you can spend thousands of dollars on that stuff. But
for sure.
I would just say let's not hurt ourselves by running in flip-flops or something like that.
Correct. Like, obviously have running shoes, but I feel like some people go in this rabbit hole of research.
Yeah.
Like which running shoes for roads that if I'm 38 years old and I have
Supinate or Pronate or
right. Just get some cushion and start, and then you can go definitely get fitted at a run shoe store. When I first did that, I was like, oh, everything makes sense. I didn't realize I needed wide shoes.
Right.
I could go on a whole tangent about wide shoes. Do you want to do that for a second?
Sure. I have an issue myself. I have flat feet. So I basically have like 3 choices of shoes every time I go to get them.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating to me because I like to have a little flair.
Yeah.
I have no flair when it comes to running shoes. They're like,
Same.
You can have this one, or this one. And it's always like white, black, or blue.
Yeah. I describe that as the suitcase.
Yeah.
It's the suitcase concept. So there's people, I feel like a lot of runners don't like the pizzazz. So they wear black, navy blue, or like you said, white. suitcases are typically black and navy blue.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're just all running suitcases and no one, like, I want to see that bright pink suitcase.
That's what I'm saying. I would rock pink shoes.
Exactly.
They don't make them in my size.
We don't get the chance to because you have flat feet and I have wide feet. And so when I got my feet scanned at a store, they were like, 50% of people that we scan have wide feet, but they don't buy the wide sizes, the wide shoes. And so I put that on my Instagram story and I mentioned that because I thought that was a fun little fact.
Yeah.
And someone replied and they're like, we don't buy the wide shoes. How about because they don't offer good colors? I'm like, it's because you don't buy the wide shoes.
Yes, start buying them, please, for all of us that struggle. Apparently, all of us do.
Then the companies would have incentive to put them in the fun colors.
Or maybe the companies will finally start to listen to influencers like yourself and start making some fun colors, for crying out loud.
Let's get with it.
Please. All right, so gear. Don't take yourself too seriously. Mm-hmm. Anything else in terms of advice that you've picked up along the way? I mean, I would imagine in the beginning for you, it was about completion. Mm-hmm. Has that changed at all? Has your mentality changed at all? Like, are you trying to get faster? Are you trying for PRs and all that stuff? I personally don't do that. I mean, yes, I would like to put in a good time.
Right.
I'm not gonna.
Right.
And I've just accepted it. I'm a slow runner and I'm out there just to challenge myself. What kind of advice would you give to somebody?
I mean, I definitely am not trying to hit that either. I'm more about continuity and just staying consistent because I feel like there's some people that will push themselves so hard to reach a PR that they get an injury that will last years.
Yeah.
And then they lose that benefit of running for that time period. I don't want to do that. I want to stay consistent. And my whole thing is, like, a big piece of advice for somebody that wants to continue running is obviously find your why. So before, when I would try running, it was to like lose weight, maybe because I just had a baby or something like that. And that, honestly, if I'm being completely honest with myself, that wasn't important enough for me to keep pushing through like any setbacks that I had or whatever. But now my why is literally mental health. So that is very important to keep going. And I will push through those difficult times. So I think if people find that one thing that really makes them know that they have to keep running, that's all you need, really.
Do you run every day?
No.
No,
I have to preserve myself. I run 4 times a week.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's actually like the perfect amount.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I wouldn't know that. My coach just puts it in my calendar and I do what she says.
You're more the avid professional than I am. So I'm going to go with 4 days a week. That's good.
That's ideal.
I know we totally missed this. Let's talk about your handle, if you will, Mrs. Space Cadet. Where did that come from? Yeah,
Mrs. Space Cadet. So when I was younger, I quit everything in my life. That's another reason why I continue running, because I refuse to be like quitting anymore.
Oh, wow, this is
it's getting
awesome.
Deep. It's getting
a little
deep. It's a good therapy session.
Let's go.
So when I was younger, I was in that like start quit, everything, like band, soccer, like anything. And I was in Girl Scouts for like a week probably. And we went on this trip and my parents gave me lunch money. Of course, I lost it. I went up to my friend's mom and I was like, I lost my lunch money. I don't know where it is. And she's like, Erin, you are such a space cadet. Like in a
nice way.
Kind way.
Sort of.
But I was like, oh, and I already felt kind of like I did like lose things all the time and forget things. And as I got older, that was a big frustration with me at myself. Like, geez, why can't I just get it together? I always seemed like so flustered and a mess. But once I started, I don't know, I would say like by the time I was in my late 20s, I would embrace that. And when I started posting on social media, I'm like, you know what? That is me. Like, I am a space cadet. I feel like not a lot of people use that term anymore. So if anyone Gen Z is listening, it just means that someone's like spacey. And yeah. I don't really know how else to explain it.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Loses things, kind of.
Yeah, never has their stuff together.
Yeah. Nice edit on that one.
Yeah. So, it saved you guys some time.
I appreciate that.
But I, then obviously I'm married, so I just put Mrs. in front of it.
I'm actually surprised that handle was available.
I thought you were going to say, I'm actually surprised you're married.
No. That's horrible. I am not that mean. My goodness. No, I'm actually surprised that was available.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I don't think there was a lot of people on TikTok that would use Mrs. in general.
Oh.
In fact, people say Miss.
Oh.
Even it says MRS. I'm not sure. I would like to dissect that a little bit. Why do people not know that that's Mrs.? They don't know.
Probably
that.
A good possibility for that.
All right.
We were talking about it before you came in here. Like, I know nothing about TikTok. I'm kind of like a dinosaur. So I don't even know the first thing about it. Anyway, so getting back to your handle, where can folks find you? Obviously TikTok, but do we have specific handles and shout outs we want to give?
Yeah, so TikTok is mrs.mrs.space.cadet. And Instagram, because I don't know why I just didn't take the same thing, but it's I'm Mrs. Space Cadet. And same on Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
I'm not cool enough to be on Twitter.
Oh my goodness.
I don't say enough good things. Like,
well,
it's so funny. Like,
who does?
As I watched your stuff, I was just like, good Lord, this woman did exactly what I wanted to do when I was training for New York. But I was just like, no one is going to tune in to what I have to say.
They would.
I don't know. We should go on a run sometime.
I think so.
That would be fun.
We'll bring all this with us and run.
All right. Galen gets to carry it.
All right. He can have his soundboard.
Kim carries the monitors. Tom can carry the cameras.
Can people buy your apparel?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you have merch?
Yes.
We got to plug the merch.
Yeah, so mrsSpaceCadet.com, there'll be a little box that opens up, and it'll say merch on there. So you can buy Team Struggle Run hoodies. Also, I have Hills Don't Care About Your Feelings, just to stick it to them because you're going to struggle.
So when I was in high school, we had two awesome cross-country / track coaches by Mr. and Mrs. Ruth, and they came up with the coolest T-shirt. It just said, "Just shut up and run."
Oh, that's simple enough.
It's gold.
Yeah,
it's gold.
It's like Nike's "Just Do It."
Yeah, exactly.
Just shut up and run.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Any last words to our viewers?
I think that is it. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Erin Azar, thank you so much. Mrs. Space Cadet, check her out. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.